Hello guys, this is CodeNCode and this is sixth lecture of Number Theory Updated series. In this lecture, we are going to learn the application of Sieve algorithm. In the last lecture, we have already covered what is Sieve algorithm, how it works and how to implement the same, right? In this lecture, we'll learn what are some of the applications of Sieve algorithm. There are so many and we are going to go through some of the important ones using Sieve algorithm. All right, so let's get started. So let's talk about the application of Sieve algorithm. So using Sieve algorithm, what we can do for each number in range 1 to n, we can find out following efficiently, right? For each number, we can find out their divisor count in constant time, their divisor sum in constant time, and their SPF, that is smallest prime factor. For each number, for example, for 10, the smallest prime factor of 10 is 2, right? Because 2 divides 10 and is the smallest prime factor, right? Now, all of this, so divisor count and divisor sum in constant time, right, and SPF also in constant time, and all of this you can find out once you have applied Sieve algorithm, which takes n log n time. In these two cases is going to take n log n time because I'll explain that using the code, right? So pre-processing is required because it's Sieve, of course, and after that you can find out divisor sum, divisor count, SPF in constant time. And what is the use of SPF? For each number, when you have the smallest prime factor, you can actually prime factorize a number in log n time instead of square root of n time, right? And that is why SPF is important, right? So let's learn in this lecture divisor count and divisor sum using Sieve, and in the next lecture we'll learn the SPF using Sieve, and we'll also learn how we can prime factorize once you have SPF of each number. All right, so let's start with the divisor count. So we have Sieve. What we do, we have modified this function called divisor count, and we are provided with n, right? So I'll define a vector or an array of size n plus 1 so that I have indices from 1 till n, right? And initialize all of the integers with 0 of this array or vector, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm calling it array so that people who do not work in C++ can also relate, right? Can understand. So now we have initialized everything with 0 because as of now no one has any divisor count. All of the divisor count is 0. So how we calculate divisor count is this: we'll go through all of the numbers because we have to calculate uh, divisor count for everyone, right? Now when I'm going through I, so I'll go to all of its multiple. Let's say I is 5, so I'll go to all of its multiple: 5, 10, 15, 20, right? All of the multiples till n. So I'll go through all of the multiples of I till n, and I'll increment their divisor count, right? My bad. So for each I, I'll go to all of its multiple and increment their divisor count. So when I'm at when I is equals to 5, in the second loop, I'm going through all of its multiple. So I'll go to 5 and increment its divisor count by 1 because 5 is its divisor. Okay. Then I'll go to 10 and I'll increment the divisor count by 1, right? Because 5 is divisor of 10, right? So for all of multiple of I'll go to them and increment the count by 1 because I is their divisor. Again, for all multiple of I, which is j, I'll go there, increment the count by 1 because for all of these j's, I is one of their divisor. So for each I, I'm going to increment divisor count for j, right? As simple as that. So that's why we have two for loop. And then once we are gone through this, for each number we'll have their divisor count, right? One will increment a divisor count for all of its multiple: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till n. Then I becomes 2 and you go through all of the multiple of 2, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then increment their divisor count. Similarly for all of the numbers. Once you go through that, divs will actually have a number of divisor for each number, right? And then you can return the divs array or vector in this case. Now, my bad. And it takes n log n time because now you're not checking whether I is prime or not. You are going to go through all of the multiple of I without caring whether I is a prime number or not, right? In Sieve, in the actual implementation of Sieve, uh, you actually run the second loop if and only if I is a prime number. That is not the case here. That's why the time complexity actually is a bit higher here, and it takes n log n time, right? But still, in n log n time, you have divisor count of all of the numbers in range 1 to m. Now 1 to n, right? Now, divisor sum. Same story, what we did there. Again, uh, create an array, sum, n plus 1, initialize all of them with 0, then go through all of the numbers, right? From 1 till n, that would be your I. Now from j, you are going to go to all of their multiples like we were doing in the last example. So j is equals to I, j less than equals to n, j plus equals to I. I'm going through all of the multiples of I. And now at j, instead of incrementing uh, sum of j by 1 like we were doing there, because I is one divisor or all of the j's. So we were incrementing uh, uh, index j by 1 only, right? Here it will directly increment by I because I is their divisor and we are calculating their sum, not count. So I will be directly added to their sum because I is their divisor. That's why sum of j plus equals to I. Once you are done with it, again you can return the sum array. And now if you want what is the divisor sum of number 12, you just check at sum of 12. That's it, right? Again, time complexity and log n, right? Because again, you're not checking whether I is a prime number or not. You are directly going to go through all of the multiples of I. Again, high, a little bit of higher time complexity than Sieve, but still much better, right? Now that we have all of this, let's go ahead and take a look at the implementation and run the code and test it with some examples. All right, so let's take a look at the implementation, right? So again, we have divisor count function that returns a list of integers, basically vector of divisor count of all the number in range 1 till n, right? So again, implementation simple. Define the uh, divs or whatever array you would like to call it, or vector, right, of size n plus 1. Initialize all of them with 0. Now go through all of the numbers in range 1 till n, right? Now, for each multiple of I, so j is equals to I, j less than equals to n, j plus equals to I. So we are going through all of the multiple of I, just increment their count. For all of the indices j, I is their divisor. That's why we are incrementing it by 1, right? And return divisors array. So I'm actually calling this function by passing 10. So I'm getting all of the divisor count in range 1 till 10, right? And I'm doing nothing but going through all of the numbers and printing their divisor. So if we run this code, my bad, yeah. So this is the output. Can I increment? Yeah. So 1 has one divisor, of course. 2 has two divisor, 1 and 2. 3 has two divisors, 1 and 3. 4 has three divisor, 1, 2 and 4. Similarly, 6 has four divisor, 1, 2, 3 and 6. Okay? And for 10 also, 1, 2, 5 and 10. So this is the divisor count, right? Same way we can implement the divisor sum and would be almost same as divisor count. Again, define a vector of size n plus 1, initialize all of them with 0, right? Then go through the whole list from 1 till n, because each number is multiple of someone. Sorry, each number is divisor of someone. So just go through their multiple. For each multiple of I will be their divisor. Simple stuff, right? So sum of j plus equals I, because I is a divisor of j. So some of the divisors of j must contain I. That's why we are incrementing sum of j by I. As simple as that. Finally, return the sum, right? So again, I am calling divisor sum passing 10. That means I have divisor sum of all of the numbers in range 1 till 10 and doing nothing, just printing the divisor sum. So if I run it, yeah, divisor sum of 1 is 1, 2 is 3 because 1 and 2, and that's why 3. 3 has 4, 1 and 3, so their sum will be 4. For 4, it is 1, 2 and 4, so the total sum is 7. Similarly, now 15, 13 and 18, you can verify this, right? So yeah, this is how you can find out divisor count and divisor sum of all the integers in the range 1 to n. So this is how you can implement all of the So this is how you can implement divisor sum and divisor count using Sieve algorithm and answer whether the number I has how much divisor and what is the sum of them in constant time, right? In the next lecture, we will learn how you can implement SPF, that is smallest prime factor for each number using Sieve, right? And then using the same SPF, you can find out prime factorization of a number in log n time. Right. Yeah, this is it for this lecture. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next video drops, keep coding. Thank you.